Hello, everybody, and welcome to our third week of Advent and our family Bible lesson for today. I'm getting so excited about Christmas getting closer, and I thought that you might like to see this. Da, da. The Christmas tree at the church is up. It has beautiful lights, and I just look at it and it just makes me happy. So today, this is what I want you to do. As you have your snack together as a family and you take a moment to talk, I want you to list, at least 10 things. I bet you can come up with more. 10 things that just make you so happy about the Christmas season and Advent. What just makes you so happy? Just like this Christmas tree all lit up with all of its beautiful ornaments. It's so tall. Look at the angel. She's beautiful, just like the rest of the tree. So talk about at least 10 things that make you happy during Christmas. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about joy, because our third candle in our Advent wreath is the candle of joy. And so far we've talked about hope, we've talked about peace, and today on week 3 of Advent we're going to talk about joy. And if you think back to when we did the week's lesson on hope, you saw Miss Martha kind of running around hoping for lots of things, but then in the lesson we kind of learned that I wasn't really hoping, I was wishing. There's a difference between hoping that things will get better and just wishing for little things to happen, good things to happen. So today when we talk about joy kind of goes along with being happy. But yet there's a difference in joy and happy, kind of like there's a difference between hope and wish. And so to show you the difference, I'm going to do a little science experiment to get us started. So I've got 2 clear glass jars, and I've got some water, and I've got some eggs. All right, so I'm going to put some water. Oh, I forgot to get a Sharpie. Oh, there's some. It'll be okay. I'm gonna put some water, maybe a little more. Glug, 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 glug. All right, that's probably good. All right, so here's some water, and here is a Sharpie. And on this egg, I'm going to draw a smiley face. Are you good at drawing smiley faces? I bet you are. There he is. So when you see a smiley face on an egg, you think, that's a happy egg right there. And you named some things with your family that make you happy about Christmas, like probably Christmas presents, Christmas candy, Christmas stockings, Christmas trees, Christmas lights, Christmas parades, Jesus, hopefully, the nativity, the hope and the peace and the joy. All those things make us happy. But there's probably some things, I'm going to turn my egg around, and I'm going to I'm going to draw on this side of the egg a sad face, Because even with something as wonderful as Christmas, there are still things during Christmas that might make us sad. And sad is the opposite of happy, right? If you're happy, you're like that. If you're sad, you're like that side of the egg. And so some things at Christmas that might make you sad. Can you take a pause and try and think of some things about Christmas that might make you sad? Okay, I bet it was harder to think about things that make you sad about Christmas than it was to think about things that make you happy about Christmas. But sometimes we're sad because we miss our family, or we might be sad because we didn't get the gift we wanted, or there's lots of reasons to be sad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this sad egg, because he's not happy anymore. He didn't get the gift he wanted for Christmas, and Grandma couldn't come visit. So he was sad. And I'm going to put him in the water and see what happens to this sad little egg. Whoa. He sunk right to the bottom. He sunk right to the bottom. Because when the egg became sad, until something good happened again, he didn't have any reason to be happy. Because he was only happy or sad because of what was happening in the world around him, or to him or her. All right? So now I'm going to fill another jar with water. Glug, 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 glug. And we're going to use this jar of water to, I'll put a little more in this one too. Ooh. All right, we're going to use this one now. This is telling us what it's like between happy, to be happy. Because when you're happy, you can lose that right away if something sad happens. So now I'm going to grab another egg, and I'm going to draw another smiley face, because this egg has joy. All right, so this was happy, this is going to be joy. And joy is different from happy in that joy comes from the Lord. Joy comes from Jesus and God. And so when something like Grandma not coming at Christmas, or this egg not getting the present they wanted, or their candy cane broke, they can still remain happy in their soul. They still have joy. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to put a sad face on the back of this joy egg too. Because people who have joy, you know what? They still have sad things happen to them. They still have sad things happen to them. They're not just happy all the time because nothing bad ever happens to them. They are joyful because when bad, sad things happen, they focus on God and the joy that they get, that Jesus gives us. So when those bad things happen, let's drop our joy egg in and see what happens. Well, now that didn't work so well. Let's see what happens. So as the egg goes in, the joyful egg floats to the top because the sadness of the world around it doesn't make it sink like the happiness egg. The joy egg receives its joy from Jesus. So even as bad things happen in the world, the joyful egg remembers that God is with them, helping them through any troubles that they may have. And they always know that there's a bright side to it and that there's good, and they can see the joy, even during a sad time. So now what I want you to do is I want you to look back at your list that you made in the first question, the 10 things that make you happy at Christmas time, and decide which ones really are making you happy and which ones are bringing you joy. And mark those as that. Welcome back, and I hope you had a nice little talk about the happy things that happen at Christmas versus the joyful things that happen at Christmas, and try and focus this year on these joyful things, because some of the normal happy things might not be happening because of coronavirus, COVID-19. And just so you know, kids, you science experts out there, the reason this joy egg floats is because I added salt to the water. So, which is kind of cool because we have learned to be the salt and light to the world, adding Jesus to the world and so it's kind of cool that the joy from Jesus, salt will lift it. Anyway, so let's get back to our lesson. Okay, so I got my puppet. So if we think about our life as a line, I'm going to use the chalkboard. Okay, if we think of our life as a line, okay, and something great happens and we're happy, and we stay happy, and then something bad happens, and we go sad. We might stay sad for a little bit, and then we might just come back and be kind of normal, kind of happy, kind of normal, kind of sad, really happy, really sad. Whoa! And our life can become a roller coaster ride of ups and downs and happy, really, really happy, and really, really sad and miserable. And that's not how we want to be. We don't want our friends to be like, are you the happy Martha today or are you the sad Martha today? Because I want to be Martha, the joyful Martha, the Martha who can be like kind of level. So I'm going to take a line and I'm going to bring it right through the middle of all this. And this line is kind of the line that we want to kind of, that's our best spot, that level line, okay? And whether something wonderful is happening or something as bad is happening, I'm still the same Martha, all right? Still the same Martha. And the way that we can help ourselves change from that happy, sad to a life that just goes and is joyful. No matter if the happy and sad are happening, we have joy. Is to take Jesus and kind of intertwine him, tangle him up with us. So Jesus is tangled up with Martha. So when I'm living my life, he is here with me in it. And it keeps me from going, yay, boo, yay, boo. It allows me when I'm really happy to be really happy, but to still stay here in a way. And when something really bad happens, I can still feel right here and be kind of even keel. Does that make sense? Kind of helps me keep my emotions in check. I can be very happy and I can be very sad, but I can still feel the love of Jesus and the joy that that brings me. Okay? So in our Bible story today, we're going to look at, I was just looking at what happens. You know, Mary and Joseph get to Bethlehem and that there's no room in the inn. Oh, how sad. And the town is crowded. Oh, how sad. And all of these things. But then when Jesus is born, even though it's in a stable in a manger with cows and donkeys and who knows, goats, whatever animals were there, it's so joyful. They had to have been so happy to see baby Jesus. He was born. He was there. He was alive. God had come to earth as a baby to save us. And out in the fields, the angels pronounced to the shepherds, "You gotta go to Bethlehem. You gotta go see it." And they rejoiced. And rejoice means like you're so full of joy that you're kind of having a party, inside and outside. And you can't keep it to yourself. You're so happy. And the new star shined in the sky. And the wise men miles away saw it. And they were filled with joy. And they knew, we got to pack up and get on our camels and we got to go follow that star because something wonderful has happened. It probably wasn't fun to ride on a camel for 2.5 years following a star. It probably would have been one of those down things like, I'm tired of riding on this camel. I'm going to go home and be a king again. But they didn't do that because they knew the joy that they would have when they met the baby. So joy comes from Jesus. Joy comes from God. Happiness comes from the things that we see and do that happen to us. And so our Bible verse that I want to point out to you this week is John chapter 15, verse 11. Is that right? Let me see. Let me see if that's right. Oh, yeah, it is. I know more than I think. John chapter 15, verse 11. It says, I have told you these things so that you will be filled with joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. Overflowing joy. And then I was reading farther down and in the Bible, and I was actually into chapter 16, and I found this part, and I thought this part might be even better than my first verse, so I decided to share this one too. And it's in 16, and it's verse 20, and maybe 21. I don't remember how far I read. But verse 20, he was talking to his disciples, kind of trying to tell them what was going to happen to him on the cross, and they weren't really understanding it. And he said, I tell you the truth, you are going to weep and mourn. That means they're going to cry, and mourn means to grieve because somebody has died. And he told them this, that you will weep and mourn over what's going to happen to me, but the world will rejoice. You will grieve and be sad, but your grief will suddenly turn to the most wonderful joy. That's what he told his friends, the disciples. That's what he tells us. That even though we may be really sad because a friend died, like Jesus, we can still have joy because he gives it to us. Another gift from Jesus. We've got hope, we've got peace, we've got joy. All right, so what can you guys talk about on that? Let's see. As far as you and your family, why don't you... I think I'm going to have to take a pause on my own and figure this out and come back and give you the question. Okay, so I think I came up with a good discussion question for you guys to end this lesson on joy. Now that you see the difference between happiness, which can be sunk, and joy, which no matter what happens, you stay afloat, do you think that you will recognize it in your life? Will you recognize joy? And will you recognize happiness? And can you watch out for it? Okay, I hope you had a good talk about that. And to finish up our lesson on joy, I was thinking during the pause how we kind of don't have to go on a roller coaster ride when we have Jesus tangled up in our lives. It made me think of my tangled up Christmas lights. And I thought, what a good picture of like a strand of red Christmas lights and a strand of white Christmas lights all tangled up together so you could tell which was which because of the lights until you turned it off. And then it would just look like one tangled up mess. And that's the goal, is to have Jesus such a part of our lives that you don't notice the two. And that's when you'll really notice the joy in your life. So let's have a prayer, and then we'll go in the other room and we'll look at our Advent centerpiece for week 3. All right, so let's bow our heads. Dear God, thank you for joy and all the things that you bring into our lives in this world that make us happy. We thank you for them and we appreciate them so much. And for all those things in our life that come into our life that are sad or make us angry or frustrated, we are going to work really hard to remember that behind all of those things that put a frown on our face, inside our hearts and our minds and our souls, we have the joy of knowing that you made us, that you loved us enough to come to earth and teach us about you, to save us, and that one day you're going to come again. And we look forward to that, and we will rejoice like the shepherds and the wise men. Thank you for joy, Lord. Thank you for Jesus, and it's in his name that we pray. Amen. Okay, let's go check out our Advent centerpiece for this week. Okay, here I am back by our centerpiece where we have, we have the candle of hope from the first week of Advent. We have the candle of peace from the second week of Advent. And this week we're going to add joy to our candles. So week 3 is joy. So get your Sharpie and write joy on your candle, Joy. And that is the third candle. And oh my goodness, do you see what I see? There's only one candle left. One Sunday left before we get to light the Christmas candle, the Christ candle. All right, so in your paperwork, there's a week 3, and it is all about joy. There's something for you to read, a song for you to listen to, and some questions for you to talk about. Have fun doing your centerpiece as a family. And I look forward to seeing you back next week for the last Sunday in Advent, right before Christmas. I'm so joyful and hopeful and peaceful. I love you all. Mwah. Bye-bye.